Greetings all, and welcome to the 2021 version of Queens Day in Albany, the virtual edition. Nothing would make me happier than doing this in person next year up in Albany with all of you fine folks. Before we get started, I want to take a moment to reflect and ask for a moment of silence on two losses over the past week that really hit home here in Queens. First, I want to offer the condolences and the thoughts and prayers to the family of Costa Costantinides, whose wife passed away, leaving Costa and his son Nico to carry on. Second, I'd like to acknowledge the loss in Queens of the New York Police Department highway officer, a son of Queens himself, who lost his life in a tragic way last week, leaving behind a wife and two little children, Officer Anastasios Sakos of Astoria. Thank you very much. I appreciate that very much. Before we get started as well in the actual program, I want to thank our friends at QPTV, Dan Leone and Roz and the entire team over there for their award that was given for their broadcast production of Queens Day in Albany, the live version, way back in 2019 before this pandemic struck. My hat is off to all of them for their partnership and their friendship here in Queens and at the Queens Chamber. Before I turn the program over to Senator Janaris and Assemblywoman Hyman, as well as our chairman, Tom Santucci, a few quick comments. While there is, I want to just share the fact that the Queens Chamber is now the most diverse it's ever been, with our staff, our membership, and our board. While there's always more work to be done in this regard, we have changed when others said we could not, we have grown when others said we could not, and we have prospered when others did not. Today, we have over 1,300 members representing over 125,000 Queens-based employees, now in our 110th year. We are embarking over the last few weeks to make Queens the de facto tech center of the US, taking into account all the aspirations of our members and our people. We have 8 colleges and universities and a business community that we intend to grow in a fair and equitable, diverse way. We intend to build and grow a Queens Angels Fund, raising between $30 and $40 million over the next year to invest in Queens startups. We also intend to build incubators throughout. I spent some time yesterday touring the now quiet Queens College Tech Incubator. We intend to get that thing up and running with additional support, as well as the incubator at Queens College through the Startup New York, at York College through the Startup New York, as well as at LaGuardia Community College to support the startups that are now emerging in Queens County. We thank you, our Senate and Assembly friends, for your support and your partnership, and for all the state officials for their ongoing support in this regard. It means so very much. Now I'm going to turn the microphone over to our chairman, Tom Santucci, for a few brief remarks.
Thank you, Tom. Figures, once you put me on camera, the phone rings behind me. But hey, Tom, thank you. I'd like to thank all the members of the legislature, Borough President Richards, for your support to the chamber during this past year. It's been a difficult year, as we all realize. Fact of the matter is, if it were not for the government support that you had given the chamber, we probably wouldn't be standing where we are today. Through your support, we're able to outreach every corner of Queens County. We've helped businesses that are struggling. We've run hundreds of programs to help those people who are looking for any type of PPP money or government aid. So we have really stepped up and supported the businesses of Queens County. And I just want each of you to know, on behalf of the board and myself, that we truly appreciate the confidence that you've placed in us and the financial resources which you've enabled the chamber to fulfill its mission. It's nice to be in a setting like this, but when we saw that slideshow earlier, it was terrific when we had the opportunity to be in Albany and meet in person. Hopefully next year we'll have that opportunity again. the only bright spot about having this virtual video, I've never had so many members of the legislature together in one place and been so quiet. So certain things are grateful for. But once again, thank each of you very much. And if there's anything that we can do for your particular districts, please reach out. If there's any type of businesses that need attention, reach out and we will step up and support them accordingly. Thank you again. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Tom Santucci, Chairman of the Queens Chamber of Commerce. You know, one of the things I love about Queens is that we take our work seriously, and I think for the most part, not ourselves too seriously. And that I think bodes very well for the future based upon the challenges that we're going to be having over the next few years as we emerge from this pandemic. And with that said, I'm really happy to introduce from the West Wing of the White House, Senator Mike Gianaris.
I was wondering where you were going with that, Tom, but thank you for the introduction. And thank you for organizing this. And thank you also for that recognition of the losses of the last week. Both the officer and obviously their councilman's wife had connections to Astoria and to the Greek community in particular. So it was something we felt very acutely. So I appreciate you recognizing that. And I know this is the second virtual Albany Day, if I'm not mistaken, hopefully the last, but I do appreciate you organizing and putting it together. You not only have the legislators in the state with you, but I see the district attorney's on, the borough president, Dominic Richards, is on. So you have quite an assortment of elected leaders as part of this call. And that's because we all care about our business community and our small businesses in particular so much. I had set up a small business advisory committee before COVID even hit, where we were meeting regularly and getting some thoughts about what the community needed. And it was a good thing in my experience, because then once obviously the events of the last year occurred, we were ready with the infrastructure to distribute PPE to the businesses as needed, to provide whatever help we could on the ground. And that all culminated in what I know we're all on this call very, very proud of. It was a state budget we enacted about a month ago that provided $1 billion in small business relief, $800 million in grants, $200 million in credits, on top of whatever the federal government is doing. This is state money that will be available to keep our small businesses open and help them survive this very difficult time they've been through. And that money is largely unrestricted. It can be used to pay rent. It could be used to pay employees. It could be used to pay mortgages or whatever is necessary to keep the businesses moving forward. So it is something that has been at the top of the list for so many of us. And I'm really glad we're able to get that done, working with and hearing from our local businesses. I do want to say, because I know we're all running around, I have to hop off before we get to the recognition, but Queens Together, which is the nonprofit I'm recognizing, has just done absolutely incredible work with Jonathan Forgash, who's running it, providing meals for people who were in desperate need over the last year. And so we're proud of them. And La Delita in Woodside is a great Mexican restaurant that focuses particularly on women and victims of domestic violence and its hiring and the work that it does in the community. And so I'm very proud to honor them tonight, in addition to all the other great honorees selected by others. And before I go, I see Lieutenant Governor Hochul has joined us. Hello, Governor Hochul. She was actually just in Queens a few days ago, and we were able to get together and talk about some of the important issues of the day. So again, Tom, thank you for letting me kick things off. I appreciate all my colleagues, Assemblywoman Hyman. Thank you for your leadership. I know my fellow senators will be introduced later in the program, but they do great work, and we couldn't do what we do without the cooperation and unity we all bring to the table. So thank you all very much.
Senator Janaris, thank you for your support and your leadership. It's much appreciated in the small business community here in Queens. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce Assemblywoman Alicia Hyman for some remarks to get the rest of the program started.
Thank you very much, Tom, and thank you, Tom Santucci. I got to make sure I say Tom Gretchen, Tom Santucci when I'm talking, but we've been doing Queens Day for since at least I know I've been in the chamber, and I want to give a special shout out to Assemblywoman Kathy Nolan, who is head of our Queens Assembly delegation that we know she's healing right now. And so today we were able to do a resolution on the floor, and for the 18 members of the New York State Assembly, we proudly represent our borough. And thank you, Senator Janaris, for saying all of the highlights of where the money resides and where it's going, and how important that is to make sure that our small businesses are successful. And I know everyone on here would love to say all of the businesses that we know hold us up and have held us down, and the losses that we've had during COVID, but we are the only borough that kept doing this through COVID. Brooklyn bowed out and the Bronx bowed out, but that just has to tell you how resilient we are as a borough. And it is a pleasure to work on behalf of our constituents. And Tom, yes, we have been quiet on more than one occasion, Santucci, when it comes to the meeting of the minds to making sure we get what we need to do for Queens. So I wore my Queens Library t-shirt because I wanted to make sure each and every chance I get, I showcase the borough that is home to so many immigrants, so many individuals who have called this borough their home. And it makes us all strong. And Tom, thank you on behalf of all of us for doing the work that you, Tom Gretsch, for the work that the outreach that you have done to make sure Queens Day is successful. And it's important to make sure in a time like this that we highlight our borough. I just want to thank my staff for doing the work behind the scenes to make sure that this is successful once again. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Assemblywoman Hyman. Thank you very much for that. I believe the Lieutenant Governor is on. I know she's having some connection problems. Neil, can you verify if she's good to go?
She's trying to call in. Just give her one more second.
Yep, no worries. Just to give her a little bit of props, whenever I turn around, she's in Queens. I know she's an upstater. She's very proud of her family history and her family owning that flower shop upstate New York, but she really is in Queens a lot, and she pays us plenty of attention, and for that we are very, very grateful. Maybe what we'll do is, as we wait for her to connect, in the interest of time, I'm going to pass the baton over to our borough president, Donovan Richards, who I see incredibly a lot of over the last couple of weeks. I'm out and about town. Some of the work you're doing regarding the Asian hate is beyond admirable. My hat is off to you. And the way the community has come together in that regard is really unbelievable. So without further ado, to keep the program going, I'm going to respectfully turn the mic over in the audience to borough president. Oop, I was going to say Donovan Richards.
Yes, Kathy's on. Here we
Look
go.
Look who popped up.
She was out there as well today.
Yeah. Lieutenant Governor, welcome. Can you hear us okay?
She has on mute.
You're muted, Lieutenant Governor.
All right. Is that working better, guys?
Just perfect.
Okay. All right.
So we already turned the microphone over to Borough President Richards, but you got your connection. We want to make the most of it. So please welcome and thank you for being here so much.
Well, thank you. And I'm so sorry. I've been on like 14,000 Zoom calls and I've never had a problem with the internet, but now I'm anywhere in the state. I'm sitting in Midtown Manhattan looking at Queens and I can't get the connection. So I think I'm just going to swim over and solve this in person. So, oh my gosh. I did have a chance to hear many of your great speakers. I heard our Deputy Majority Leader Mike Gianaris, and what a great job he's doing, and all the senators and assembly members, and my good friend Alicia. I thank you for always supporting me and being there to work collaboratively for Queens. Tom Gretsch, you're a rock star. You and I had a lot of conversations throughout this pandemic, and it was painful. It was about as bad as anyone could have ever predicted. But I want to tell you, you and the Queens Chamber were phenomenal. Phenomenal. You, Tom Santucci, everybody, keeping that dialogue going when people just had so many questions and so many fears and anxieties, and you answered them. You contacted the state. We were involved with you every inch of the way to come up with policies on shutting down smartly, but now the reopening. And I hope you feel what I'm feeling, so much better. I was just with our great borough president, Donovan Richards, on the weekend, and having a fabulous rally to show support for the Asian community, which was really important with Grace Meng. Senator Schumer was there. I mean, everybody was there to show up to support the residents of Queens, but not just the residents, the people of Queens and the businesses that you represent. And so I know this has been a tough year, but I really feel that we've turned the corner. get the MTA going again, get people back to work, get them back in the walking around the streets and feeling that sense of confidence and that swagger that we all love as New Yorkers. And so I wish we could welcome you in person in Albany. That's always such a great party. I enjoy the food, the celebration. And I was always there with Melinda Katz when she was our wonderful borough president. And I've had a great connection with many of you because I come from a place called the Queen City. I'm not from Queens, but Buffalo is known as the Queen City. So I've always felt this close affinity with people that are underestimated and areas of the state that maybe sometimes like they live in the shadows of others. No longer. Queens has had a breakout time. You've had extraordinary successes. And as the chair of the Regional Economic Development Councils, pumping money all over the state, I know that Queens has been a tremendous beneficiary because so many of you have fought for great projects. I've visited them. I've met your leaders in the business community, but also our academic institutions in Queens are second to none. And we're creating a pipeline of fabulous workers who want to stay in Queens. They want to raise their families there, just like they were able to. The most fascinatingly diverse place on this planet. So I want to thank you for coming together again, Tom, to you and your incredible team and everybody on this call. And take a rain check. I'm going to be up there in Albany with you next year. We'll celebrate your Albany Day in person, but let's keep the conversation going. We are on the cusp of turning things around, and we're going to be far better for us. I'm really energized. I'm excited. I look forward to my return visit again. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. And I also want to thank you for your kindness in inviting me to be part of the New York City REDC with my partner, Hope Knight. Together, we're gonna go out and get a lot of funding for the great county of Queens, and we're gonna be second to none. And I really do appreciate that. I can tell you that Joanne, I want to thank Joanne and Neil, my staff. Joanne, I think, has already made a reservation for the Egg in 2022. So
Great.
we had 50 restaurants. I want to blow it up for next year. So again, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for your leadership.
Right. Take care, my friends. Bye-bye.
Without further ado, the one and only Donovan Richards, who I did some time with making an introduction for. Borough President Richards, would you mind jumping right in?
Yeah, thank you, and good evening, everyone. It's great to see and hear from our Lieutenant Governor, Kathy Hochul. I want to thank, of course, Assemblymember Hyman, my neighbor, not only in elected office, but also literally my neighbor who lives up the block from me. I want to thank her for her leadership in Albany, especially as it relates to our small businesses. A special thank you to Tom Gretsch and Tom for fighting for our small businesses and for orchestrating tonight's event. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. And of course, I have to acknowledge my predecessor, Melinda Katz, District Attorney Katz as well, who I see on. Once again, I want to acknowledge how especially difficult the last 14 months have been for small businesses and nonprofits here in the city. In Queens, many of our small businesses are owned by first and second generation New Yorkers who put their life savings into their businesses. This pandemic took an enormous toll on their livelihoods, and sadly, some owners could not bear the brunt of this storm and closed shop. Others have hung on, but just barely. More recent developments have given me hope, though. I'm sure many of you will agree with me. The Biden administration and Congress extended subsidy, I said subsidy, but funding has given us a lifeline through the American Rescue Plan Act back in March. This was not by any means easy, but it was a shot in the arm our small businesses needed to survive. And speaking of shots, now more than ever, more New Yorkers are getting vaccinated. And I'm happy to report that Queens leads the way in the state. We were the first county in the state to hit 1 million vaccines. And consequently, this week, the governor announced the full reopening of all businesses, small businesses. This is the green light that businesses have been waiting for. Now, with the full freedom to move forward, we can expect the economy to open up. Since January, we welcomed right here in Queens, IKEA into Rego Park Center. They brought on about 180 employees. We welcomed Lidl supermarket in Astoria that hired about 80 Queens residents. Home Depot opened in Maspeth and they hired about another 180 guest services, folks in guest services. Target opened in Jamaica and they hired another 80 people, and the new Hyatt Hotel at Resorts World Casino, New York City will open up this June. And I think today they had a job fair, and there's more to come. Let me give a sobering report. In January, Queens unemployment rate was hovering somewhere around 12.8%. As of March 2021, it registered at about 11%. And we will continue to see these unemployment numbers go down, especially as more businesses open up. And I am very optimistic. We're seeing a lot of new small businesses opening up around the borough. In my monthly jobs recruitment fair, there is significant interest from employees and a huge increase in interested applicants. So we're on the trend as the market opens up. More people are getting vaccinated and people are moving around more. The job numbers will only get better, as I mentioned. We've invested in working with many of you and our state elected officials and federal officials. We've invested a combined $21 billion to rebuild our area's 2 airports. The $8 billion overhaul of LaGuardia Airport is progressing well. Terminal B at LaGuardia is completed and work at JFK continues to move forward. One great achievement we announced last month was the renewal of JFK's lease for an additional 10 years, which gives some breathing room for negotiations with developers, and an accompanied guarantee at Terminal 1 of 20,000 local jobs, with 10,000 of those jobs being union jobs, along with $10 to $15 billion in infrastructure investment, a guarantee of at least minimum 30% of contracts going to women or minority-owned businesses, and meaningful efforts to hire from the zip codes around JFK. On another matter, I was happy to develop the Queens Small Business Grant with NYC EDC. And this program was made possible through a generous donation to the Borough of Queens by the Steve and Alexandra Cohen Foundation, the new owners of the New York Mets. This program provides up to $20,000 to small businesses in low to moderate income neighborhoods and neighborhoods hit hardest by COVID-19. To date, we have received 1,045 applications, with 745 having been approved already. Vendors from across the borough are also eligible to apply. And I want to thank the Queens Chamber because we really work with them to get the word out on this. Our city and borough adapted to the challenges once again posed to our state and the nation. Now we are ready to move our borough forward as quickly as possible. And we can only do that through strong partnerships. So I want to thank each and every one of you here today. I am excited about where we're headed once again, and I want to thank our Deputy Majority Leader. Keep sending that money down to the city because I'm able to spend it in Queens, and we're going to have some exciting announcements in the coming days that pertain to investments in our cultural institutions, a big focus on healthcare, transportation, CUNY, and those announcements are going to start next week. Happy to say our office came in #1 amongst the borough presidents in terms of capital funding this year. And I am happy to invest that money back into Queens in a big way. So we're going to have fun spending about $70 million this year on investments across the borough. That was a long report. You should thank my staff for that. But once again, so grateful to each and every one of you and look forward to our continued partnership as we move along. And let me end by saying, today it was reported Governor's Ball will be in Queens, which is a big deal. So we're going to have that starting in September, which means we can really tap into that and maximize that opportunity right here for the borough. So it's a lot to celebrate. So thank you. Thank you, Tom. Look forward to the continued work with you all.
Thank you,
Queens,
Borough.
let's get it.
Thank you, Borough President Richards. Much appreciated. A couple of quick shout outs from our attendees, to our attendees. Kevin Livingston from 100 Suits, a new friend of the chamber, somebody that we work with a lot during this process. Dr. Berencia Ennis, the president of your college, great friend of the chamber and somebody we like to work with and getting some things done when it comes to our youth. A whole host of other folks. Michelle Stoddard from Resorts World is on. We appreciate her partnership and what they're trying to do. A lot of different folks from the chamber are on. Our friend Jonathan Forgash from Queens Together, a group that we supported. Kevin Alexander from the Rockaway Development Corp, and a host of others that we'll try to grab. Next up is an interesting person I want to take a moment to reflect on. I've been at the chamber now for going to be 6 years in July, and I came as a stranger in a strange land when it comes to the political world. I'm a business guy. I came from the Fortune 500, R.R. Donnelley, Sony Corp, a bunch of startups. I always was a good citizen. I always voted, and I knew the landscape of the politics, right? But at the end of the day, I get this job. I replace a gentleman who was somewhat legendary in Jack Friedman. And the first elected official that I met was Melinda Katz. And she kind of sized me up and she looked me up and down. And we kind of bonded over one of the boat trips when I said to her, the boat trip's from 5 to 8, but we're not going to leave till 6. Don't tell anybody that. She brought her kids, who were very rambunctious. They were little. That was like 2017. My wife was on the boat. I said, Janet, do me a favor. Get these 2 kids some pasta. I want the borough president to be comfortable. My wife bonded with the boys. I bonded with Melinda, and the rest is history. So it gives, and I thank you for that kindness when I first got to the Chamber of Commerce, because I was a stranger in a strange land. Our former borough president and the Queens DA, Miss Melinda Katz.
Hi, Tom. How are you?
Great.
My kids could use some pasta. You got some? Want to deliver? I'm home. Go
I'll be
ahead.
over in half an hour.
So it's good to see all of you. Mr. Gretsch, I remember that day like it was yesterday. Wasn't it yesterday? Because
Yeah.
It does seem that way.
Yep.
You threw amazing parties, and I thank you for that. And thank you for the kindness of making my kids comfortable. Tom Santucci, good to see you. I'm keeping the seat of your relatives very warm here, and I thank you. Doing a great job at the chamber. I also would like to congratulate you both, Toms, for getting so many different people involved with the chamber that had not been involved. 100 Suits, Kevin Livingston is an amazing guy who gives people amazing chances when they're coming out of jail. And York College, of course, always great partners, and all the rest. Michelle Stoddard. I miss seeing everybody every day, but I'm seeing your living rooms and your offices. It's great. So as the DA, I've been there 15 months. I am sad that we are not at Queen's Day together up in Albany. It's a tradition that you and I started, Tom, many years ago, and I thank you for that. And it was a great day for everyone, including everyone that was up in Albany who got to see Queens in the house. Like, we just came up and we were there and we were loud and proud, and it was great. And I think it boded well for our budget and for the legislation that came out of Albany. Special shout out to Alicia Hyman, does a great job up in Albany, was a great partner when we started this tradition, and to everyone else. Look, the DA's office has come a long way in 15 months. It has been a short amount of time. I do feel like it's been several lifetimes. Bail laws have changed twice, discovery laws have changed twice. We got rid of a horrible bias, I thought, policy of the office that if you didn't waive your grand jury rights, you had nothing except a top plea offer. And in the middle of changing the bail laws, changing the discovery laws, changing policy, we had a worldwide pandemic and a national conversation, which was long overdue, about policing in the United States of America. So it has been amazing. And in between all that, though, Tom, your businesses should know that are on this Zoom. We have created a frauds bureau whose job it is to focus on catching criminals who really prey on the vulnerable and financial schemes. We have created a major economic crimes bureau to make sure that those businesses that do hold themselves accountable and that are doing it the right way don't have those businesses that are not doing it the right way to compete with. And that is an extremely important focus in our office. We created the Bureau of Housing and Worker Protection at the same time. We have hired an immigration lawyer to make sure that past convictions are reviewed and to make sure that there aren't any unintended consequences. And in the meantime, we have developed a Violent Criminal Enterprise Bureau to get guns off the street and gangs off the street, to make sure that we not only are prosecuting those drivers of crime, people that are coming from North Carolina to sell guns to our children, but making sure that the next generation, through our community partnerships, give the kids in the next generation a chance. So the same guns aren't being used by the young people that follow, and they need a chance, and they need a better path and a better trail, and it makes the whole borough safer. But in the meantime, this chamber has done an amazing job during COVID in keeping people connected and making sure that they have resources for their businesses. So I appreciate the work that everyone has done, and I look forward to seeing each and every one of you in person extremely soon. And yes, and up in Albany as well, Alicia. Thank you.
Thank you, DA Katz, much appreciated. And please send my regards to your family and the boys. Pasta anytime they want.
Appreciate that.
Before I give the mic back over to Assemblywoman Hyman, I want to just do a shout out to a couple other attendees, participants today. Our friend Jeff Rosenstock from Queens College, Paula Kirby from Plaxall, did some remarkable work during the height of this. Went from making widgets that they make in that company the face shield, saving untold numbers of people in the area. Sharon DeVivo from Vaughan College, Ave McCracken from TSI&Y. I mentioned Michelle Stoddard, Lorinda Hooks from Elmcor. Shout out to all you folks. It's been great leading and having fun with the Queens Chamber of Commerce. We look to do it for many years in the future. For those that came on late, we are celebrating our 110th year this year. And it's been quite a ride and a lot more to come. Without further ado, we're pretty much right on schedule, which is a great thing. I want to reintroduce Assemblywoman Hyman to do some focus on some of the her fellow Assembly folks.
I have no problem doing that. I'm looking at the screen and I'm looking at which colleagues are in the room. So I'll start with David Weprin. You're on. So Dave, if you could just, say which businesses that you've highlighted so that Tom won't send me dirty text messages talking about your members talk too much. So
No problem. I too, I'm looking forward to going back to Albany for the traditional Queens night, because certainly the food and drinks are much better up there. But I want to thank the two Toms, Tom Santucci, who I know for more years than either of us want to admit to, but Tom Gresh, who I've gotten to know very well over the last, 4 or so years. And I was very involved with the chamber because Tom mentioned my former chief of staff, Jack Friedman, and we all miss Jack, and he really was very helpful. I think Alicia gave me signals about getting to the businesses, but I will. Tonight, I'm happy to honor two organizations in my assembly district, the South Asian American Voice and Dhcare. Sa Voice is a community-based, nonpartisan 501c3. Sa Voice aims to build bridges and empower the next generation of South Asian and Indo-Caribbean Americans. They do so by promoting a unified community voice for collective actions and rights. Throughout the pandemic, Sa Voice provided information, education, and access to legal and social services. We have a number of representatives from Sa Voice, Imrul Kabir, Casey Chetty, Satnam Prahar Singh. The next organization I'd like to honor from my district is Dhcare, a small essential business in my district. Dhcare provides home care for our senior population so that they can remain in their homes. The long-term and adoptive services of Dhcare is an alternative to a nursing home. There's nothing like the safety and comfort of a home, someone earned through hard work and frugality. Dhcare's dedicated staff of medical professionals and aides offer quality nursing, personal care, physical therapy, and much more to the seniors of our community. Families can have peace of mind knowing that their loved ones.
Thanks, David.
And Shah Rahman is here tonight representing Dhcare. So
thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
You're
love
quite
you.
welcome.
Thank you. Next, we move to Assemblymember Ed Bronstein, my colleague in the north of where I am. Go ahead.
Thank you, Alicia. And I'll try to be quick. I see that you're serious. And I just want to start by thanking Tom Gretsch and everybody from the chamber. It's been a really difficult year, but you've been out there on the front lines and communicating with everybody. And we appreciate all the work that you've done, and we'll look forward to working with you as we start to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So the business that I'd like to recognize tonight is Bagel Parlor, 14-37 150th Street on Whitestone. Bagel Parlor is a relatively new business to Northeast Queens, opening in Whitestone in late 2019. Shortly thereafter, the pandemic hit, and Bagel Parlor decided to use their resources to bring food to the heroes working on the front lines of the COVID-19 response. Owner Jerry Natali joined our Healthcare Heroes initiative, spearheaded by the Daniel Caprasino Foundation, We Love Whitestone Civic Association, and local residents to provide meals to healthcare providers in local hospitals. The group also provided meals to the first responders who were stationed at Fort Totten who came from around the country to provide reinforcements. And then Jerry Natale also at his business had to donate a dozen. I see Alicia giving me the sign. So we thank Bagel Parlor for, donating food and helping out during the pandemic. The second group I want to recognize is nonprofit Common Point Queens. I saw they were on Andy Hevesy's list as well. They're just a tremendous nonprofit organization that's been providing meals to homebound seniors and providing vaccination sites and mental health services. They're a great organization. I just wanted to recognize the work they did during the pandemic. So thank you, Alicia.
Thanks, Ed. So that all my colleagues know, the presentation that shows all of the businesses that you've highlighted will run again towards the end of the presentation. Next up, we have Assemblymember Clyde Vanell, 33rd.
Queens get the money. That's what I've been posting here. Queens get the money. Very excited to have Queens Day here. Very excited that Tom and the Chamber continues to bring this. Thank you. And I'm going to be very brief. I'm going to highlight my two organizations. One is a not-for-profit, one is a business. So first, the business that first I'll do the business first. Anton's. We all know and love Anton's. Anton's has been there since the 1940s. And Joe King was the manager with Mr. Anton for a long time. In 1982, Joe King took over Anton's, and now he's running it with his son Mickey. And we all go there. We all love it. It's not only a catering place. They also provide food and all kinds of different kinds of events and activities. Please go support Anton's, and they're right next door to my office. We all know and love it, so continue to use Anton's. And then I want to shout out Showing Hearts Foundation with a brother named David Tanis, who has done so much work in the community. We've combined with different events. They've helped us with our last Christmas event and many things that they do that Showing Hearts does. Big shout out to them. Excited about Queens Day. And we're excited to make sure that we reopen New York, we reopen Queens, and we give all the support we do to small businesses. Shop local, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have my sister from another mister, Assemblywoman Stacey Feffer Amato.
Hello there. Thank you very much, Alicia. To Tom Squared, get that? Tom Squared.
I'm squared. I like it.
Thank you for everything that you're doing. I'm really happy to be here on Queen's Day. I don't know why you're all talking about pasta and where you're going. Just come to me. We'll just get some great Italian food at the pizzeria. But I'm going to keep it quick because that's not my business I'm highlighting, that's for sure. In Rockaway, we have two beautiful businesses. A business that I'm highlighting is the Rockaway Hotel. It's a brand new boutique hotel that's been was opened during the pandemic, and they are a community-based organization where they are giving back immediately to the community. They're dedicating and donating swim lessons in their pool when there's different times of the day. And also they're working locally with all the organizations just to keep Rockaway clean. Surfing lessons, it's fantastic. Let's go there anytime. I'm available. Also, the second not-for-profit that I'm highlighting is the Jamaica Bay Rockaway Park Conservancy. They are all things about revitalizing and focusing on the parkland that touches Jamaica Bay and doing great work in keeping our bay clean and our parks clean. It's great to see everybody. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. Move on. Love you all. Thanks for all the good work you're doing with the businesses, Tom and Tom.
Thank you. Just one quick comment. Our very first in-person event will be May 17th. I think it's 2 weeks from yesterday at the Rockaway Hotel up on the roof.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh,
Yep.
Great.
You're going to get the message later on tonight. But
Okay, everyone, come on out. It's fantastic. They really are a great group of people giving back. Even when they didn't have rooms rented, they were having the small businesses have a boutique in there and really just doing a beautiful job. So I'll be there. Let's do it.
Join will be jumping May 17th. Thank you.
Okay. Next, we'll go to one of our newest colleagues, Assemblymember Jennifer Raj Kumar.
Thank you, Alicia Heineman, my wonderful colleague, and to Tom Gretsch, all of the incredible energy you have given to small businesses across Queens. So my first organization is the nonprofit Our Neighbor Civic Association. And it's headed up by Joe Corona, who wanted me to make sure to tell you, Tom, that he's also from Maltese.
Ah, from the island of Malta. Excellent.
Additionally, this is an incredible organization because all throughout the pandemic, Our Neighbor Civic Association was relentless. It served our community food constantly. And Joe and his organization are a master at the art of the food distribution. He has it down to a T and has made collaborations with all kinds of partners of all ethnicities that are willing to help feed the district. And so he's done incredible work and has cheered up the whole community at a very difficult time. He also has brought civic engagement to South Queens, hosting debates, robust debates for the community, and really keeping the community engaged and involved, appreciating people. I remember in December, the organization threw an award ceremony at a very difficult time when people were so depressed. Okay, and finally, I'm going to move on to POPs. My business that I want to organize, that I want to recognize is POPs. POPs is in the heart of Woodhaven at 86th and Jamaica Avenue. It's Dominican owned. It's a wonderful family. Manny Bays is the owner, Manny Bays and Fran, and Libido Ramirez, their dad. And Pops brings incredible life to Woodhaven. And during the pandemic, actually hosted outdoor jazz concerts that brought life to the neighborhood. So I want to congratulate Pops on all of its fine work and what it does for Woodhaven.
Thank you, Jennifer. I saw him, but I didn't recognize him because he didn't have his glasses on. Where's Danny Rosenthal? He turned the camera up. There you are. I didn't know it was you. Okay, so let's speed through the last, and right after Danny, Khalil will go.
You know, the mask with glasses and the fogging up, and also my daughter started ripping them off my face, so I decided it was time for contacts. Tonight we're honoring for my district Food to Eat, which was a corporate catering concierge service that partners with immigrants, women, and minority-owned businesses. It deals with restaurants throughout New York City. During COVID, they lost 100% of their revenue, so they pivoted to the nonprofit world, where they were focusing on feeding homeless and at-risk workers during COVID. They also catered to homeless shelters, hospitals, and nursing homes during the peak of the pandemic. With their efforts, they were not only supporting frontline workers, but also worked with restaurant partners to help them try to survive during these trying times. In the last year, they served over 150,000 meals to people who were struggling with food insecurity because of the pandemic.
Thank you. Thanks, Danny. Okay, then Khalil, and then I got to say the two businesses. Okay, Khalil, you got it. Critically.
Yeah, thank you so much, Alicia, and to everyone who's on the call. This is my first Queens Chamber of Commerce Queens Day. It's virtual, but I'm excited to be here. So I have one small business and one community organization that I want to highlight. Absolutely must highlight a small business, Panache Eurosol, catering and event services right in Rosedale. Annette Runcie, during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, donated food, resources, and all kinds of things for our communities that were suffering during the height of the pandemic. So we want to thank her. And I held my first press conference as a member of the Assembly in front of her restaurant on legislation called Save Our Storefronts that would provide the financial need and support for our small businesses that have been suffering across the city and across the state. So shout out to Panache. Make sure you try their jerk wings. Phenomenal. I want to shout out as my nonprofit, American Legion Post 483. Although they are located in my sister Alicia Hyman's district in the 29th, their work has permeated all across Southeast Queens, particularly during the height of the pandemic. I was able to help them distribute meals across Southeast Queens for people who were struggling with food insecurity during the height of the pandemic. We want to highlight and thank Major Sharon Lindsay Sweetie for her work, as well as Commander Lee Blackman for their work in making sure that people were eating during the height of the pandemic and supporting people who lost their jobs and were struggling in this moment. So we honor and thank both American Legion Post 483 and Panache Eurosol Catering and Event Services.
One quick comment about Panache Eurosol, real quick. So they're a Queens Chamber member. We had our very last big event, networking event there in February. and we helped get them in front of the Port Authority. They were selected as an MWBE. They now run the kitchen in Building 114 on Airport for all the workers. So we're very, very proud of them, and the food is fantastic, Khalil. You're right.
But Tom, you had a longer time than me, so I couldn't throw that in there.
I can talk really quick. I can talk really quick.
And lastly, I will say that the two places I've highlighted is EDA Youth, a nonprofit that found jobs for a lot of youth in the Southeast Queens area when the mayor decided he wasn't doing SYEP and cutting those jobs. EDA Youth stepped up and they found students, young people, jobs, paid internships during this last summer of the pandemic. And the other business I would like to highlight is Be in Good Health. All of us need to do better, especially when you're in Albany, you tend to put on a couple pounds. But this juice bar really does do the job in making sure that they're keeping Queens, Southeast Queens people in good health. And the floor is now yours, Mr. Gretsch.
Thank you so much. A quick little interlude as we discuss. We're actually still in pretty good shape. We're going to have the Senate introductions up shortly, but I'm going to turn the microphone over to Neil Wagner to talk about the Small Business Resource Network and Taco Tuesday. Neil, it's all you.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. Neil here from the Queens Chamber. We just wanted to show you guys a quick video just highlighting some of the work that our Small Business Resource Network team has done. It's a team of on-the-ground business recovery specialists, and our Queens team has been able to help and meet with over 3,000 businesses since we started in October, 85% of which are MWBE owned. So it's a project we're incredibly proud of. We're working really hard, and just wanted to show you guys some of the work that we've been doing.
In case you didn't know, we're overachievers here at the Queens Chamber. The bogey was 60%. We hit 85% MWBE. It's a number we're exceptionally proud of.
The past year has been a trying time for our country, our city, and our borough. To help small businesses get back on their feet, the Queens Chamber of Commerce presents to you the Small Business Resource Network. Powered by the Peter G. Peterson Foundation and the Partnership for New York City, the New York City Small Business Resource Network provides personalized guidance and access to resources for your small business. Our team of recovery specialists can provide assistance in financing, grants, marketing, technical support, legal counsel, business coaching, and more. In the first 6 months of the program, the Queens Chamber SBRN team has met with or assisted over 2,500 small businesses across Queens.
I'm out here in Jackson Heights today.
I'm at Flushing Main Street right now.
I'm here in Corona, Queens.
Here in Bayside.
Today I'm doing business outreach in the Rockaways.
I'm here doing outreach in Long Island City.
I'm doing outreach in Ridgewood here.
Today in Jamaica.
Out in Astoria today.
No matter where your small business may be in our borough, from Long Island City to Jamaica, from Astoria to the Rockaways, the Queens Chamber of Commerce and the Small Business Resource Network are here to help.
We're here to help.
We're here to help.
你的生意，我们可以帮助你。
Nosotros estamos aquí a ayudar.
We're here to help.
Είμαστε εδώ να σας βοηθήσουμε.
Thank you so much, Neil. As our elected leaders, I trust that you have the same amount of pride and the special notion of what these folks do. Today, your Chamber of Commerce speaks 12 different languages, 12 different languages every day, pounding the pavement from the Rockaways up to Little Neck and from Long Island City to the Nassau border. So Neil, Michelle, everybody else, Joanne, thank you so much for your hard work in that area. Next up, I'm going to have Michelle Watson, who you saw in a little snippet of that video, talk about some of our efforts with this tech council. We're going to build this thing up from the ground up and make sure it's fair and equitable across the county of Queens. A couple of these stats you're going to see might blow your mind. Maybe you already know it, but they blew my mind when I saw them.
Thanks, Tom. So really, when the pandemic hit, it propelled technology into all of our lives, right? Every industry across the board, whether we liked it or not. It was always coming, But now the shift to tech is more important than ever, and many of our communities may not be able to keep up with that shift. Tech jobs are not just coders and developers. All jobs now, even middle-class jobs, have a tech component. And it's so important that we make sure our neighbors are prepared to step into those roles. Queens has an unparalleled level of diversity. It's our greatest strength, no doubt about that. We may face some challenges with that, but actually it's because of the diversity that we're in a position to come back stronger than ever from this. Our borough brings together a global population, people from all different backgrounds, carrying unique worldviews, new insights, and new ideas. And this diverse population is what drives innovation. But at this moment, founders and creatives are vastly underfunded. Can you just imagine what would happen if we put some effort into bumping these numbers up? So even though Amazon didn't decide to set up shop here, every reason they were going to still remains. We're not looking to chase down any tech giants. Our goal here is to reshape our local environment and create the conditions to attract the next generation of tech talent to grow and thrive in Queens. There's a real opportunity here, a real chance to rethink what Queens can be. Let's not miss out on this.
Michelle, thank you. That slide troubles me greatly, and it ought to trouble all of you. So as we continue to build out this tech council, I would be eternally grateful if you can jump in some way, shape, or form. Michelle and Neil are leading the charge in this area. But look at those numbers with Queens, minority founded or led, 5 in total, and 1 got funding. So it's going to take all of us to get to work really, really hard, leveraging all of our resources. Today's Tech Council includes, but not limited to, Microsoft, soon to be Apple, Facebook, Google, Amazon, the Tech Island on Roosevelt Island, and we're soon bringing in all the colleges and universities and the strength of them to build out incubators. As I mentioned earlier, I want to build a $30 to $50 million Queens Angel Fund to have people put their money where their mouth is and support our small businesses in Queens County on the tech side. There is absolutely no reason that Queens County, based upon our diversity, our educational system, diversity number 1, our educational system, and our transportation network cannot be in the upper echelons of tech, whether they're, as Michelle said, we don't need a behemoth to relocate here, but we need a lot of smaller players to jump on board. And we're going to count on you to help us out in every way we can. So thank you for that presentation, Neil and Michelle. Can we do our Taco Tuesday video real quick before we get to the senators?
Sure thing. Give me 1 second here.
With our proximity to Cinco de Mayo, we thought it would be appropriate to do our little Taco Tuesday rendition.
So this comes to us from our friends at Burrito Republic in Ridgewood, and this is their take on the perfect taco.
Hello, Lori from Burrito Republic here. I was asked, how do you make the best taco? And this is how we feel the best taco is made. Start with tasty seasoned meat. Right here we have tinga that we cook, takes a lot of love. And here we have surf and turf that we're gonna make. We pre-marinated those things, of course, as well, cook it with a little wine. And the secret, we think, is fresh ingredients. So you're gonna see that we make 2 different tacos here. First, we're gonna start with this one that we call the street style. So we add always cilantro and onion.
That looks great.
Cilantro and onion, top it with some pico de gallo, always fresh, that's the secret. And a lot of people like to add cheese, so we add a little cotija cheese. Optional, always you can do sour cream as well, but that's up to you. Now for our surf and turf, cilantro and onion. If you're allergic to cilantro, we're sorry. It makes a great taco topping. We also pickle our own red onions. Not too many, it's a strong flavor, adds beautiful color and beautiful taste. The other thing that we add is a chipotle mayo that we make here in-house. We add a little extra love than just chipotle and mayonnaise, of course. That's our secret, sorry. And as all good tacos, at the very end, don't forget, squirt of lime. Will never go wrong. Hope you like our tacos. Hope you come and visit us. Happy Cinco de Mayo.
How cool was that? That was in Ridgewood?
Yeah. Yep.
That's in Ridgewood. I'm stopping on the way home. Simple as that. Nothing else to be said. That was great. Michelle, Neil, and our friends at the restaurant, thank you so much for doing that. Next up, to stay on track and on time, I'm going to introduce Senator Toby-Ann Stavisky to do some initial introductions of our wonderful Senate friends that are on this call. Senator Stavisky.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure.
I think I'm unmuted. Yeah, thank you. First, I can't imagine the Queens Chamber in 1911, 110 years ago. I must tell you, Queens had only been part of New York City for about 12 or 13 years at that point. And look where we are today. And it's because I am absolutely convinced it's because of the business community and the jobs and the services and so on. Before I introduce the members that I noticed, I hope I don't leave anybody out. Let me just mention the not-for-profit. I'm sure Senator Ramos is going to be unhappy, and I'm sure she has the same group in mind, but Elmhurst Hospital in my Senate district. And that's, talk about branding, just saying Elmhurst Hospital, and you think of the 7 p.m. call, banging of the pots and the appreciation, indescribable. And in terms of the businesses, let me mention the commercial hub, the business hub of downtown Flushing. They have really suffered from the pandemic. And there are 4 groups that come to mind. First is the Flushing Chinese Business Association and the Union Street Merchants, the Korean American Association of Queens, and the Business Improvement District. They have been the center, the epicenter of the business community for years, and we have to pay tribute to them. But let me introduce the senators that I noticed a couple of minutes ago. First, Senator John Liu.
Hi, Toby.
John, hi, okay. John?
Toby, you mentioned 4 businesses and 4 organizations. I mean, you took all away our allocations. Tom's trying to keep a tight ship here, and
Senator Liu, it's all you.
oh, all right. Well, great to see everyone here. I will be very brief. My organization is none other than the Douglaston Local Development Corporation. They've been out there not only promoting the businesses in Douglaston, but really feeding people, providing food, providing PPEs, and I just can't imagine an organization that could be more active. Big shout out to Victor Dadras and Rebecca Gellos and the rest of the team there. And my business would be Bourbon Street. I think most of you know it. It's right on Bell Boulevard. Anytime you want to see Ed Bronstein during normal times, he's there beginning at 5:30. I'm just kidding, Ed. Don't have a heart attack. Ed never goes there. He's always being a dad of 3. He goes straight from the office home as quickly as possible. But Bourbon Street has been really a mainstay of Bell Boulevard, of Bayside, and not only have they worked hard to keep their business open, but really provided a lot of assistance to the rest of the business and surrounding communities. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom. Thank you to the rest of the team.
Thank you, Senator, for your support. Much appreciated.
I also saw Senator Jessica Ramos.
Hey, Tobes. Hi, happy Queens Day to everybody. Great to be with you. A shame that we're not all in Albany. gloating about our food to the rest of the boroughs and the rest of the state. We all know that everything in Queens is a lot more delicious. But tonight I am highlighting Miss Mercedes Munoz, who's the owner of Mama Michi's on Junction Boulevard and Roosevelt Avenue in Corona, Queens. She, at the height of the pandemic, not only helped feed her neighbors by making hot meals, but with the small stipend that we gave her through our program with the Street Vendor Project and the Hispanic Federation, she was able to hire a few of our neighbors to help her make those meals. Unfortunately, Mama Michi's or Mercedes is also one of the victims of the big fire that happened here in Jackson Heights just a few weeks ago on 34th Avenue and 89th Street in Jackson Heights. She's a great neighbor to highlight today, so I appreciate the opportunity. I also wanted to give a huge shout out to the Street Vendor Project that's been such a key partner in highlighting our smallest businesses, in organizing them and helping us not only fight for lifting the cap on street vendor permits here in New York, but also in our fight for excluded workers in the Senate that we were able to win in this year's budget. So I'm thankful to all of you, and I'm thankful to these small businesses for everything they've done for us. Good to see everybody.
Senator Ramos, it wasn't a contest, but I will give you props. When we sent the email out asking for nominations, if I'm not mistaken, you were the first person to respond within like 20 minutes. So you get points for that.
I hope I get free tacos for that.
Oh, and by the way, for Mama Michas, when I heard about the fire, we sent our friends from SBS out. There's a woman named Bernadette Nation that is like the emergency response lady. And I think she was there within, I don't know, even 12 hours.
Okay, great.
Doing all we can to help support those businesses that got burned out.
Thank you so much.
Our pleasure, and thank you for being here.
And I was going alphabetically. The next person is our banker, Senator James Sanders.
I have to collect on you, Toby. To the Tom Squares, I like that. I am, of course, bringing greetings from the most diverse county in the nation, as all of my colleagues hail from it, Queens. Just look at the screen up here, and it speaks of the beauty and the strength of America, and that strength is in Queens. When the history of this pandemic is written, the Queens Chamber of Commerce will have to take a noble place in it. But we're not out of the woods yet. Small business in general and MWBEs in particular have been hard hit. We're gonna have to outthink this pandemic. We're gonna have to out-organize it, and we're going to have to come back stronger and better. In order to do that, we got to turn to each other and not on each other. In the 10th Senatorial District, I have two examples of this. I can tell you about Joseph and Sons Jewelers, who went out of their way. They decided that to make money at a time like this was not the most important thing, but to make a community, to make friends, to make neighbors, to be better neighbors. And I want to applaud them. At the Rochdale Village Senior Center is also an organization that understood that we will leave no man or woman behind in this crisis, that where society is always judged by what do you do with the least among you. And they made the least the most important. So I want to applaud both of them. And I also want to show that I can keep to a clock, which Clyde Vanell doesn't believe that I can. Khalil, you tell him I certainly can. And having said those things, Jessica, I shall say no more.
Wow, that was pretty impressive.
I can speak more if you wish.
Thank you, Senator Sanders.
May I just add one other point, Tom, and that is we really have to pay tribute to a local development corporation. I always get the name wrong, the Flushing Willets Point Corona Local Development Corporation, that was headed by the former borough president, Claire Schulman, who really did so much for the community, for the borough of Queens. And when she passed away on August 16th, I lost a friend, but really the borough of Queens lost an icon.
Senator Stavisky, you were spot on. It's the Flushing Willets Point Corona LDC.
And I think that is an appropriate closing. Are there any senators I've missed?
Just want to make a comment about that comment, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I too
Did I
share
miss
with-
any senators? Because I
think we got them all.
think. Sure.
I just want to say, to comment on your comment, we too felt the loss of former Borough President Claire Schulman, and you're going to see some exciting news, frankly, maybe over the next couple of days regarding the Queens Chamber and the Flushing Willets Point Corona LDC. I'm happy to share that with you directly when the news is out, but it's all good stuff, and it's going to work to continue her legacy as the grande dame of Queens County. So thank you for making those remarks. Before I give it over to Assemblywoman Hyman for some final remarks, I want to acknowledge the rest of my staff that's on this call: Jackie Donato, Dana He, Jesse He, David White, the whole team that's out there, Brendan Levy, and also our Deputy Borough President, Rhonda Binda, who's out there. Thank you very much for being here tonight. We appreciate everybody's support in this endeavor. And really, it was nice to have this because, as the Assemblywoman said, we don't quit, Queens don't quit, but I cannot wait to see you all in person. I cannot wait to break bread or break tacos or break sushi or break kimchi or break whatever with each and all of you. I miss that. I gained plenty of weight during this period of time, and I wasn't in Albany. But nonetheless, I am grateful for each and every one of you. It means so much to have you part of this thing. I'm thankful for all of our attendees. We had well over 100 when we first got started, but nonetheless, I give the last word to our friend, Assemblywoman Alicia Hyman.
We sure did have over 100 attendees, and when we have it in the egg every year, it's more than that, because everyone knows the best food is in Queens, right? You can't go a couple blocks without getting some pine tarts, arepas, arroz con dulces, rice and peas.
Wow.
Pizza. You can get everything you need walking the streets of Queens. So to our Chamber of Commerce, we're happy that we got you this funding this year to do more. I can't wait till we're all vaccinated and we can all get around and, well, I'm push away the hugs right now, but just, we can all see each other, at a distance. But I tell you, this borough has so much to offer. And thank you to everyone who wrote in the chat. And thank you to those who stayed on. I know it's a busy day. Even if you're not in Albany, it's still a busy day. To your staff, Tom, thank you so much for the work that you've done to my staff. Thank you. I know two of them are right here, Tunisia and Sharice are here. And thank you so much for that. And to my colleagues, you all, the work that we do, I don't know if there's a more cohesive borough of electeds than what we have right here in Queens. And I'm honored to work with each and every one of you every day, making our borough best. And this is my personal plug. It's Juneteenth. June 19th is now a state holiday, so I hope you'll join us in Roy Wilkins Park on Saturday, June 19th. It's the first time we're doing this celebration in honor of this historic occasion. So to all of you, to the Chamber for the phenomenal work. Thank you, Rhonda Binda, for stopping by. It is an honor really to hold up this borough, and I do it hand in hand with everyone in this Zoom room and in the chat and on Facebook. So thank you everyone for making this event a success. And next year, God willing, we'll all be in person.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Remember, our next event in person is May 17th. First drink is on Assemblywoman Stacey Feffer Amato, the rooftop. Can't wait. Thank you all, and blessings to each and every one of you.
Thank you. Be safe.
Thank you all.